Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. We have a few people that are still logging in. We're going to give them a minute or so, and this will be recorded. So if anybody from your organization did register and they were not able to attend, they will get sent a recording along with everybody who did attend. I will be back in a minute and a half. All right, folks, we are going to get started. We were just waiting for a few more people to log in. Looks like we've got a great crowd today. And again, this will be recorded. We've already started recording. So the recording will be sent to everybody on the webinar. And if you have anybody from your organization that registered, they were not able to attend, this will automatically send them a recording. So as we go along today, I will be stopping periodically for questions and maybe some suggestions or things that you found have worked or not worked in relation to what we'll be covering throughout the webinar. Now, you're more than welcome to type in questions as we're going along. If I don't get to them as we're going, if I don't stop, just know that I will be stopping periodically. And I'm going to throw some polls up here and there. There should be one on the screen right now. Just asking you how you start your day in Tripleseat. Some of these questions are just for fun. Some are really so we can know how to gauge what webinars will work best for you, what type of information is important to you, what we can focus on. And we just like to learn as much about our customers as we can. So I'm going to leave that up just for another moment, and I'll take that poll down. But I might be throwing a couple more as we go along. Also up on the screen, if you did want to be featured in any of our social media channels, you can scan that QR code, go back to it later if you like. Just a couple questions in there. And sometimes it'll just be a quick post. We do podcasts sometimes that will feature some of our customers. So that's just another way to help y'all get some more business. All right, let's jump into Tripleseat. I'm going to close this poll out now, get that out of your way. Alrighty, so this is the dashboard. This is where we land. Most of you probably already know this. We may have some new users on the call. I recognize some of the names. We've got some users on here that have been with us for years, maybe some fresh people from the beginning of this year or last year. But this is a webinar for everyone. So feel free to share this with your team once you do receive that recording. I'm going to toggle over our left-hand toolbar, save ourselves some room. I'm going to start with my profile. So starting with my profile and going along, we're going to talk about drop-downs, tasks, file management, terms and conditions. You know, we assume that a lot of us are a little slower this month, and take this time to tighten up some of your SOPs, get some of that verbiage set in there that maybe you're changing on the fly or information that's outdated. And that will start with your profile. So you can get to your profile. whether you go to the bottom left down here, or you click right on your name towards the top. It'll bring you to the same place. You can put a nice avatar image of yourself in here. If your title's changed, maybe your email, update that. If you have additional phone numbers. If you don't have that authentication method, you want to make sure you have that set. I have this set as none because this is a test site. We don't really keep any real information in here, but your data, your information, there could be some sensitive stuff in there. So you want to make sure you have one of these checked. Also, your calendar display options. A lot of people just go along with whatever they inherited or how it was set up before they came in. Just know that on your calendar, that first name that comes up, it can be your booking name. That's usually what we recommend, because as a hotel user, you typically are working out of that booking level. Another thing that people inherit are the orders of their event tabs, booking tab, leads tab. I'm just going to jump into a booking to show you what I mean. So going from left to right, you've got your details, your events tab brings you to the grid, your guest room tab, your booking docs. You know, everybody works different, maybe based on your role or your location. And some of these may be more important to you than others, or you work in a certain order. Under your profile, you can change the order of those. So you can just scroll down, drag and drop how you want that to order. So left, top to bottom will be how it reads, left to right. So that's something to consider to maybe streamline your workflow. Also, digest emails. Keep in mind, you can be emailed daily, weekly, both, whichever time you prefer. And then you have some options of what information you are being emailed, whether it's that day's tasks, tomorrow's events coming up, leads that have come in, things that are due, overdue. You just want to make sure that you include bookings, and you can set these up to your specific liking. That'll be to the individual user. So we are going to talk about discussion email templates in general, but if you find that the email templates aren't exactly what you want and you're constantly customizing them based on your own language or maybe your role, you can have email templates that are only accessible to you. And that might be copying the ones in settings, putting them in here and adjusting them. But it'll work the same way, which we're going to cover in your discussion email settings, but these would be just accessible to you as an individual user. This might be a good time to update your email signature as well. Now, this is a great site to use to go over all these things because it is a test site, because we use it for training. There's a ton of garbage in here. If there was ever a site to clean up and adjust or see examples of what needs it, it would be our training Tripleseat Blue Water Hotel site. For example, click here to book your holiday event. That's left over from the holidays. Just keep in mind, besides these auto-populating merge fields, you can add just straight text. You could also add hyperlinks to your social media pages. You can add in nice images in here, and keeping in mind that you can always have as many lead forms as you like, or the lead form that you use the most, you can link that lead form in here. So when people do rebook or they look back at an email, or maybe you have a follow-up email that's being sent out 1-2 months the following year after a booking, you can have that link so they can quickly click on it and be brought right into a lead form. So if you got a little free time, make your email signature beautiful. Add some nice photos in there, add some niceties, add some links and lead forms. So that's pretty much all we're going to talk about for my profile right now. Any questions on anything there? All right, I'm going to go into drop downs now. Now, you should all be familiar with drop downs. If not, and you're newer, you will be soon. But a lot of those drop downs are coming when you're entering a lead, editing a lead, creating a booking. For example, if I go into our Nargle company training here, and I was to edit, some examples of those drop downs would be market segment or lead sources. And as we get into those individual events, event type, setup type, and remember, these are all reportable. So if you've just been selecting what is available to you, and that may be because you don't have access to change that, you can reach out to your admin and suggest some more drop downs. But to edit those, to get into those, we go into settings, preferences, and drop downs. So you want to make sure you have some good lost reason types. As those bookings don't work out, you want to be able to report on that, see why they were not working out. And especially if you have a good category and then you go back and report on those, and you lost 30 events over the year because of budget concerns, or the guest room was too high, or on your end just wasn't profitable for you, then maybe you need to focus your marketing or sales somewhere else. So data is key, and to get that data, it's good data in, good data out. Same thing with event types. Maybe you're putting breakfast every time, even though there's some brunches and the menu's different. To add new ones, you just scroll down to the bottom after whatever category you're in, click add another, type in whatever you like, and those can be rearranged. So if you know that you're using 4 or 5 of these all the time, those could be right up top, so you're quick to click those. If there's some like Turn Tuesdays or Jammy Jams that are only once in a while, those can be down the bottom. And get as specific as you like with lead sources. There may be certain networking events that you go to every year, not just a general networking. Same thing with market segments. You may have social, but maybe you want social birthdays, social anniversaries. It really depends on what you're getting in for types of bookings. Same with setup types. Maybe you're just using a general one that doesn't necessarily apply, and you're constantly adding in notes to specify. Look back at what you're always doing manually. If you find that you're typing the same thing 3 or 4 times, that's probably should be preset somewhere. Task types, we're going to bounce back to that because that is something specifically we're going to talk about, tasks in general. So I'm going to skip away from drop downs. We're going to go into tasks, and then we'll bounce back to drop downs to talk about some of these task types. Before I do that, I will stop, see if anybody has any questions they'd like to type in. All right, so let's talk about tasks. Now, as a lot of you know, there's automatic tasks that can be preset, and then you can also do manual tasks. Now's a good time to look back and see what tasks were working, what was not working, how many tasks just go unchecked, how many tasks you just roll your eyes at because you're going to be doing it anyway, and really clean that up. Less is more when it comes to tasks. You don't want, let's go to our dashboard and go down to our shameful overdue tasks. You don't want this, because it's a bunch of things that you're doing anyway. You always know to follow up, or you always know that the block release date is coming. These are important, but if it's something that you're locked in and you don't need that reminder, or maybe you consolidate some of those reminders or tasks into one, and in the task body, it's a whole list of things. But go through and see some of your overdue tasks. And if they're from 3, 4, 5 months ago, and there's a whole long list of them, complete them out. And then maybe it's time to clean some of those up. Stop having them automatically come. And another way to figure out what tasks are working, what's important, or maybe what your team's ignoring, is go under reports, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and just real quick on tasks. Remember, you can have different date ranges. You may want to see all tasks that were created during a certain date range and cross-referenced with what's due next week or what was completed last week. Just always be mindful of what the date ranges are as you're putting in created, due, or completed, or a combination of those. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. Delete that. We want to see all tasks that maybe were due last year. And if none of them were completed or some of them were, maybe it's because they're just not relevant. Keep in mind, you can filter out the task type when you're creating these reports, group and sort them accordingly. And as you get to that columns, each column group, as you click into it, you can check or deselect what's showing, and how those load from top to bottom is how they're going to load left to right. So running some different reports with those different variations will help you see what tasks were completed, or maybe some that are just being ignored and maybe they're just not that important. Now you want to keep in mind that some of those tasks, they may not need to be automatic, but the ones that do, under settings, automations, new automation, this is where you can create those auto tasks. So you want to give it a name, and that may be follow up on final guest count. Or maybe that's cutoff date is approaching for room blocks. Something that you certainly have to be reminded, or if you have a staff member that has to be reminded every time. You want to make sure you select which locations they apply to. And you have these different triggers. Again, working in the hotel product, you're mostly working out of bookings. We will talk about event tasks, but avoid event triggers. You want to use lead triggers and booking triggers. And whatever trigger makes sense to you that would trigger that. You've got a lot of different options there. If it was getting that final count on room blocks, it might be created once a room block's created. So that triggers the task to happen. But then you have to do or decide what the due date is going to be based off of. So it can be based off the trigger action, the start date or end date of the booking, and then how many days before or after. Oops. So a lot of configurations here. You want to make sure it works for you based on how your work flows, how your operations are. So once you create the settings for that, you create your automated task. Within those drop downs that we're talking about, and we'll bounce back there, you want to give it a task type that's going to help you report on it. And like I said before, instead of creating maybe 4 different automatic tasks that all maybe have to be done at the same time, you can just create one overarching automatic task and have a list of things that you have to remind yourself or a staff member. And then who those get assigned to, you also have control over. Maybe it's the owner on the booking, whoever triggered it, or specific people each time. So that's for an automatic task. A lot of times there's going to be tasks on the fly while you're in the booking. And that's, again, when those task types are going to come in handy. So you might just be assigning something really quickly for yourself as a reminder, some type of follow-up. Maybe it's still in the lead status, and you need to get some information before reaching back out to them. Regardless of what it is, the assignee can either be yourself or a staff member, and sometimes you assign a guest a task if they're responsible for something. But always set a due date, select your task type, and if it's something you're just completing right then and there and you want a note of it, you can make that due date today's date and then just hit completed and save that. So I'm bouncing back to my settings, preferences, drop downs, and that's where those task types live. And you don't want to muck up the works by putting too many in here, but at the same time, you want it to be specific so you can report accordingly. And that is based on how you operate, how your location is set up. But you can see some basic examples here. And there may be cold call, cold emails for prospecting. There might be some follow-ups, detailing menus. And again, the ones that are more important and used most, you can organize these. All right, we're going to go into your file library next, but I'm just going to stop for a moment. If anybody needs to take a quick stretch or grab a beverage, or if you have any questions you've been holding off on, go ahead and type them in. I'm just going to throw a couple other polls up there. So if you are staying at your desk, please feel free to click on those. All right, folks, thanks for filling out those polls. As I said, we're going to jump into the file library now. So I'm going to go back into settings to file library. So you want to make sure you have up-to-date photos of your event spaces, guest rooms, maybe the lobby, anything that you just want to show off, the outside grounds. Also, photos of foods, beverages, up-to-date menus or packages that you want to share, PDFs that you're going to end up sharing in your discussions. So just keep in mind that you can have different folders. And as you upload to library, you can either drag and drop or click in here to search through your computer. You just want to make sure that you select which folder you're going to put them in first, or create a new folder. And as far as photos, images, you want to make sure it's the highest quality you can have. Generally, square photos work the best. Also, high quality PDFs if you do have menus. And with these photos and images, keep in mind you're able to include them in your email signature that we talked about earlier, or in your different discussion emails. And you're able to add those quickly on the fly into your documents too. If there's any note sections, you can add those photos for communication or just to show off some beautiful pictures that you have. I had somebody ask, are we able to add room type to be selected? I'm not sure exactly what we mean by room type to be selected. As far as guest rooms and event spaces, there won't the guests will never select on their end unless it was through communication or you had Tripleseat Direct set up. But that might just be maybe within your file library, you could have a PDF of your different offerings or selections, and that could just be communicated to them. And if you want to clarify or elaborate on that, go right ahead in the Q&A. All right, we are going to go into terms and conditions / content templates. So back into our settings. And then we're going to scroll down to content templates. So as a lot of you know, when you are building out your documents, you're selecting the terms that apply to that specific type of booking. And you may have some baked in there and you edit them as you go, or you're selecting them, like I said, based on that type of booking, whether it's room block or event or both or corporate or wedding. So this is a good time to update those, get your folders in order, get everything organized. But if you do have new policies or requirements, new little blurbs that need to be adjusted, you can always go into your settings, content templates, click on the folder that those live in. And you can't edit these. So this will only come, or it will only populate for new bookings moving forward. So it's not going to change anything in the past. But this is an opportunity to think about maybe what you're changing every time. Like maybe these non-contracted hours will be billed an hourly rate of $400 for each additional hour or portion thereof. Maybe that changed to $500 a year ago, and every time you're just changing it. So just try to look back or think about what you're changing every single time. Maybe you're leaving something blank that shouldn't be blank. It never changes. So get your terms in order so you're not doing that manual work. Also, there's certain merge fields that may be useful of something that you have blank all the time, something that you're always filling in manually. And remember how to add those merge terms, those merge fields, wherever your cursor is when you right click. And you're going to be working out of booking fields. So you've got your financials in there, certain dates, your occupancy, guest room revenue, average daily rates. Also under custom fields, if you do have additional second, third deposits, you can set up a nice little area that's going to automatically put in those second, third deposits, their due dates. So if those are things that you find that you're constantly having to communicate or edit in there manually, those can be added in. Also your location fields. If you do have multiple locations and you're typing in which one it's at all the time, just the general location name will pull based on which location that you selected that booking to be in. Same thing with contact fields. There may just say the client everywhere, and you want their account name to go in there or their first name. Now, if you're changing your terms and conditions periodically because it's a one or the other kind of thing, because it's basically 2 or 3 different situations, you might not want to change those because it might be that other situation next time you use that set of terms. So another thing to keep in mind, I'm just going to go back now, is having 2 different sets. So under your terms and conditions, maybe your corporate event terms are you're constantly changing them of one or the other thing because there's 2 different situations. So you can take this whole thing, do a Command All, copy it, and then add a new content template to that folder. And maybe you want to keep your old terms, or you just want a new version. Spell corporate correctly. Try again. And that might be for 2025, and maybe that's corporate mid-size or whatever that may be. And then you can copy those right into the new one. And it might just be one of these little sections that change based on that additional version you like. Anything to keep you from manually typing if you don't have to. So now we have our corporate 2025 mid-size terms. One moment, I'm just referencing the questions here. So if you did have a new room type, that is something you'll just have to reach out to the support team, and they will make sure that's all set up for you. So if you just go to Help and Questions tab, and then Contact Support, and either hop on chat. Sometimes submitting a ticket is either just as fast, and then just let them know all the information you have, and they will get that all taken care of for you. I'll stop for a moment here to see if there's any other questions. All right, I had a couple more questions. I just want to make sure I'm clear on the last one about the room types. If it was like an event type, that would be under your settings drop downs. If it's a new guest room type, if you are not integrated, you can go ahead and add that guest room type yourself. If you are integrated, you can add the guest room, but you just have to reach out to support so they map it properly. And if it's an event room, that is something you'll have to just reach out to support and they'll add that in for you. Hopefully that clarifies it. I had another question asking if you can create new merge fields and if that was based on info that they add in different tabs. So you can create merge fields as custom fields. That's another one of those situations where you don't want to add too many unless it's something that you really know that you're going to be using moving forward. So if I go back into here, a lot of these are just static and it's going to come along with your setup. For example, booking fields. You've got all your different types of date fields here, different formats. Same with financials, your GRC fields. Those are all baked in. It's going to pull specifically based on who's using or the type of booking, like the owner name or title. Additional financial fields, those are entered as custom fields. So that's where you would find your additional deposits. But to add more custom fields, that would be under settings, custom fields. And there will be some specific event fields that may work well for you, but most of the time as a hotel customer, you'll be adding booking fields. But there may be some specific account information that you want to get about the businesses that are booking or things to record, report back on, or contact fields, additional information about your location that you want to be able to add in as merge fields. So again, settings, custom fields, and this is where you can add additional. You want to create a category. If you're going to have a few different things that are associated together. And then as you add a new account field, it can list underneath a category. Any other questions or need clarity on that or anything you'd like me to go back to? All right, I'm going to jump into the grid real quick. So under any booking, once you go to the events tab, this will bring you to your events grid. And just like a lot of things in Tripleseat, you may have inherited something or how you had it set to in the beginning when you first logged in, it just hasn't changed. Maybe it works for you, but you find yourself scrolling all the way to the right to find something, or the information that you'd like to enter may not be there. So this is customizable to the user, to the individual. So that could be based on your role, or maybe you just have a bunch of tasks that need to be completed and you want to rearrange things so you can get them done faster. So one thing about the grid, the columns that are showing, if you go to this little icon towards the top right, these are all the columns that are hidden, and these are all the ones that are displayed. Those yellow dots are required, and even though some that are hidden are required, it's a little redundant because these include just a different format of the start time or end time. So if you wanted guaranteed guest count in there, you can just drag it over, or you can highlight things and use the arrow to bring them over. If there's some things you just don't need to see, maybe based on your operations or your role. You can move them around, hide them, display them, and then the order left to right, you can adjust that right in here. So that'll control what columns are shown, and you can control the order, but you can also control the order right from here. And these will save per individual, whatever makes sense to you. You can drag those around, and those will stay however you leave them. All right, let's talk about lead forms. So always go to settings, lead forms, and booking forms. We're always working out of booking forms as a hotel user. So if any of y'all do not have your lead form on your website, you certainly should get it there as soon as possible. We've done the work, we've searched through the data, and that is where most of our customers get most of their leads. So essentially where most of their business and revenue is coming from, through their lead form on their website. Now, in addition to that lead form on the website, you can have specific lead forms just for social media. You could have one for rebooking in your email templates. You could create a specific lead form, and you can use any online apps, or a lot of times through your browser, create a QR code, save that, put it on your salespeople's business card, put it in a nice little frame in the lobby or at the front desk, or magnet stickers. You want to get those lead forms out in as many places as you can, because this is all trackable, all reportable, so you can see where those leads came from. And then further, you can go into reporting, see how much revenue came through certain leads, so you know where to focus your marketing and sales. And within those lead forms, think about, as leads come in, what information do you wish they'd already given you? What information are they always asking you? Anything to save time with that back and forth. You can really adjust your lead form to get that information sooner or communicate information to them sooner. So this is where you can change those headers. And this doesn't take any developing or any major work. This is automatically going to change those headers to whatever you'd like it to say. So besides just, is there any additional information you'd like to add, you could ask things along lines of, what is your general theme of your party or color scheme? If it's a specific wedding lead form, you can sort of add questions to get a general idea of what their budget is without maybe going too deep. You can also include on those automatic responses links to a vanity site on your end, or directly to your website where you have some packages listed. A lot of you may have this exact same thing, the default, thank you for your interest, we've recorded a request and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Maybe you get back faster than that, or you don't get back till 2 days because you have so many leads coming in. You can update that. Another thing that a lot of people deal with is people requesting parties of like 4 or 5 people, and that really should go to the restaurant. You can adjust a minimum guest count required and a nice message explaining that doesn't count as a large party reservation or a group reservation. Reach out to this number or reach out to this email address. If you find that you're not getting a ton of leads, maybe you have too many things that are required and they don't know all that information yet. And this is where you can control all that. So take a look at your existing lead forms and consider if you maybe need a new one. We've got about 10, 15 minutes left. I'm just going to throw one more poll up. Stop again, take a couple minutes if you need to grab a beverage or a stretch. And if you have any questions you've been saving, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A. All right, folks, we are back, and we're going to wrap this up shortly and bring it on home. Just to continue on about lead forms, I'm going to jump into lead notifications. And that's something that some folks forget. I know some of you may be designated to be fielding those leads, constantly going through them. But if you do go onto settings, locations, and then edit details, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is where you can set specific people to be notified by email and within their notifications that leads have come in. So it can be a specific person or persons, or maybe you have an owner or manager, somebody that doesn't use Tripleseat, but you still want them to be aware of those leads coming in. You can add in their email address there. And keeping that lead theme, let's go to Event Up. So everybody gets an Event Up subscription when you sign up. And we're always trying to find more ways to get our customer more leads, more business. So you, excuse me, you want to make sure your Event Up subscription is up to date and you're utilizing it to the best of your abilities. So if you go in and click Edit, this is just a chance to highlight, display what you offer. Your description should say more than just testing. And take advantages of AI. So maybe you have a New England hotel with charm. And that's all you got. You're like, well, I want that to sound better. Do a little enhance with AI. And you can see it's going to give you a lot more. So take advantage of that. Really sell the place. And also with the photos, get some nice images in there. Updated ones, whether it's images of the property, your rooms. Make sure your contact information is up to date. And the more information you have in here, the more specific, the more you'll be found, the more leads that'll come in. And you can get pretty nitty-gritty as far as pricing, your different offerings, your availability. And if you ever want to get bumped up the list, now it does have everybody in there in general, but you can pay to have your listings at the top or shown more, and that is an option. So I'm just going to do a quick recap. Remember to go into your profile. You can update your specific information, ordering of tabs. Digest emails are going to be sent to you either daily, weekly, with whatever information you prefer. You can have your own personal email templates just for yourself. Beef up your email signature, add in social media links, links to your lead forms. Remember your drop downs, those are reportable. Go to settings, preferences, drop downs. Automatic tasks are great. Those are under settings, automations. Make sure you set them up specifically to what works for you. But remember, don't just create a bunch of tasks to create them. They can be annoying and overlooked. You can add those tasks per booking. And keep in mind, some of those task types may be event specific. So if you're on an event, you can always tell that you'll have whatever events are part of that booking over here that you can jump back and forth to, or jump right back to the booking to get to the individual event while on the grid. You can hit that icon on the right. And there may be specific tasks like water glasses, notebooks on the tables, things specific to the event that you don't necessarily want to have for the whole booking. But remember, those task types are under your settings, preferences, drop downs. Your file library, settings, file library. Make sure as you upload, it goes into the specific folder or create a new one. Have high quality photos, high quality PDFs. Those images can go into your email templates, whether they are on the fly when you're communicating, into your email signature, into note fields when you're building your documents. Terms and conditions. So those are going to be added in through content templates when you're building your documents. So settings, content templates. Update anything that you find yourself changing all the time. Or if you need to add a new version, you can copy the old, add a new content template to the folder, name it accordingly, paste in your copy, edit accordingly. Right click is going to pull up your merge fields using booking fields, location fields, contact and account fields. If you need new custom fields, that is under settings, custom fields. While on any booking, if you go to that event tab to customize your grid, go to the column icon, select what's displayed. You can rearrange from here, or you can rearrange directly in the grid. your email templates under settings, discussion email templates. You're going to be generally working out of booking templates and lead templates. You can create new ones from scratch. If you want to copy it of existing, because you find that you're always editing or changing them, and it might just be the beginning, it might be the whole thing, where you can copy, create a new one, paste and edit this to be specific to that type of email template. Give it a specific name, which locations they apply to. Another spot that you're going to be using those merge fields, adding in images or files, hyperlinks. And then those lead forms under settings, lead forms, booking forms. You can edit existing, trying to get more information or share more information with them. You want to make sure your auto responses ring true. And if you did want to put any of these lead forms as a link somewhere, if you just go to View Live page, copy that URL up top here, wherever that's pasted or made into a link, it'll automatically bring them directly to that lead form. Or if you right-click on your browser or paste that URL into certain website softwares, it can create you a QR code. That's another great way to get people directly to your lead form. And then who gets notified of those leads, make sure that's up to date. That's under settings, locations, edit details. You can have specific people notified that you may want them to just be aware of or field those leads, or somebody outside of Tripleseat add in their email address. And lastly, your event up page under settings, event up. Make sure you have the best and up-to-date information that represents you and your location. So that'll do it for today's webinar. As I said earlier, this was recorded. It will be sent to you and anyone else that registered. So I appreciate your time today, folks. Thank you very much. And always keep an eye out for more webinars. If you go to Help and Questions, online learning, online webinars are here. Also under Help and Questions, if you go into the FAQ and technical questions, hotel and bookings FAQs, there's a whole bunch of information and articles in here about the basic fundamentals, some general knowledge, frequently asked questions, information about your PMS integrations, tips, tricks. Also, Productivity Plus is going to have in-app guides that will walk you through some of the things we talked about today, things about the grid, basic fundamentals. So click on Productivity Plus, and those will show you some in-app guides that will literally walk you through and show you all the things that you need to be successful in Tripleseat. And then also the Success Center. That's going to give you some links to more information, how to get some more marketing out there. So Success Center, Productivity Plus, and your Help and Questions for additional info or help that you may need. Thank you so much, folks, and have a great day.